Sometimes the things they destroy become the roots of something far stronger. My name is Ethan Miles, and I've lived in the same house on Pinecrest Drive for nearly 12 years. My wife, Sarah, and I bought this place because of one thing: the oak tree in our front yard. It wasn't just a tree. It was the tree. Huge, old, and beautiful, its branches stretched over our driveway like open arms. Kids climbed it. Birds nested in it. And every summer, its shade turned our yard into the heart of the neighborhood. Until the HOA decided it didn't belong. The letter. It started with a notice. Tree overhang exceeding height limit, potential hazard to sidewalks, removal required within 14 days. 14 days! To erase something that had stood for almost 80 years. I called the HOA office right away. No answer. Then I showed up in person. That's when I met Greg Sanders, the HOA president, a man who treated the bylaws like the Bible. "Mr. Miles," he said, flipping through a folder, "that oak poses a safety risk. We've received complaints about falling branches." I told him I'd already had an arborist inspect it. It was healthy. Greg smirked. "We don't take private inspections, only HOA-approved ones." Which conveniently meant his cousin's landscaping company. I refused to authorize removal. That's when the fines started. The threats. First $100, then $250, then $500 a week until compliance. I appealed. They ignored me. One morning, I woke up to the sound of chainsaws. Outside, a crew of 3 men in orange vests was already hacking away at the branches. Without my consent. Without warning. I ran out barefoot, shouting, "You can't do this, this is private property." One of the workers just said, "We're under HOA authorization." And just like that, within an hour, my oak tree was gone. The stump looked like a wound. Raw, ugly, wronged. Sarah cried. My kids just stood there silently, like they'd lost something alive. The spark. That night, I couldn't sleep. Every time I looked outside, I saw that empty space. That's when something in me snapped. I wasn't going to fight them with anger. I was going to fight them with growth. So I did some research. State law had a clause protecting environmental rehabilitation projects. It allowed homeowners to plant native vegetation on private property, and HOAs couldn't restrict it if it met ecological standards. They took 1 tree. Fine. I'd plant 50. The plan. Over the next month, I ordered seeds and saplings: oak, maple, pine, birch. Then I started digging. Every day after work, I'd be out there, planting, watering, talking to the soil. At first, the neighbors just watched. Then slowly, they started helping. Mrs. Patel from across the street brought me lemon trees. Tom from next door donated compost. Kids came over with watering cans. By week 6, my front yard wasn't a lawn anymore. It was a forest in progress. Small trees everywhere, wildflowers at their feet, vines curling up makeshift trellises. It was alive. Messy but alive. The backlash. The HOA was furious. Greg showed up at my door, holding another letter. "Mr. Miles, this is excessive. You're violating uniform landscaping standards." I smiled. "Actually, Greg, this is a certified habitat restoration zone under State Code 11.2. I filed the paperwork last week." He blinked. "You what?" "Yep, approved by the county's environmental office. Touch 1 leaf and you'll be violating state law." He turned red. "You can't turn your front yard into a jungle." "It's not a jungle," I said. It's justice. The viral moment. 2 days later, I posted a short video online. Just me standing by the stump of my old oak, surrounded by baby trees. I told the story, how the HOA had destroyed something irreplaceable, and how I was planting something bigger. I didn't expect much, but by the next morning, it had 5 million views. Comments poured in. You're a legend. Revenge through reforestation. The HOA won the battle, but you're winning the forest. Soon, people started donating trees. Boxes showed up on my porch, fig trees, lilacs, even saplings from other states. It became a movement. Grow Back Stronger was trending. The showdown. The HOA held an emergency meeting. Greg tried to argue that my forest lowered property values. I brought a lawyer and a folder full of signatures from neighbors supporting me. I also brought a journalist from the local paper. The meeting turned into a PR nightmare for the HOA. One neighbor stood up and said, "You find a man for planting life. What kind of community are we?" Another said, "My kids love his yard. It's the only place that feels natural here." By the end, even some board members sided with me. Greg stormed out, muttering about losing control. 2 weeks later, he resigned. The aftermath. Months passed. The trees grew taller. The wildflowers bloomed. Birds came back. Butterflies too. What used to be a cookie-cutter street became something magical. People started adding plants, vines, and small trees to their yards. Maplecrest Lane, once grey and uniform, was now green and alive. The HOA tried to rewrite their rules to embrace ecological diversity. And every spring, they held an event called Green Day, where kids planted trees in memory of the old oak. The ending. One evening, my son asked me, "Dad, do you think the old tree would have liked this?" I looked around at the young trees swaying in the sunset. The sound of birds, the hum of life. "I think it's proud," I said. It didn't fall, it multiplied. The camera pans up. A drone shot rising over Ethan's yard. The whole neighborhood glowing green beneath the golden light. A line fades in. They cut down one tree. He grew a forest.